So here's Ryan's tack analysis, screencast take 2. Greg's trying to figure out how this works. Let's go through this tack and see what it looks like. Let's just watch it over a couple times and try not to think too much. Just make observations, collect information to start with. Don't make any opinions. Just kind of watch the tack and we'll make opinions. See what you like, see what you do like, but kind of try to just really make a holistic observation of the entire maneuver, and then we'll break it down and analyze it bit by bit. Okay, turn the sound off on the video because I don't think we need that. So let's watch it one more time, or this time we're going to break it down piece by piece and see what we think of each. First thing, I mean, right away, right from the start, there's a wave that goes by, and you see Ryan immediately is pumping his main sheet on that first wave. It looks kind of eased right here going into this, and he's leaned over. I think we're going to see a flatten and a trim coming down this wave. Let's see if I'm right. Yep, little flatten, little trim. Okay, so he flattened and he trimmed, and then coming out of that flatten and trim, he shifted into opti stance with his knees forward. See the 90-degree angle right here on the knee? His knees are together, his ankles are together at this point, his back is straight, okay? He's going to shoot back into the boat, and that movement, his mass shooting back into the boat, changes the force it applies on the boat and kind of pushes down on the boat this way, and that force also is in line with the rudder, it's in line with the turn, it helps the boat turn. So Ryan's able to turn his boat smoother and faster with less rudder than everybody else because he does this movement with his weight where he's turning the boat with his weight instead of his rudder so much. Okay, so did you see how quick his boat turned? I couldn't even pause the video in time to really catch it. And not a lot of rudder, not a lot of rudder to make that turn happen. It's all weight. Okay. So really good always when you're looking at videos like this, one thing to look at is the rudder here. How is that rudder cutting through the water? It's always going to have some cavitation because you're rocking the boat so hard and doing so much, but it's pretty much almost the entire rudder comes out of the water and then has to re-enter. So when that happens smooth, when you cut down the drag on that part of the maneuver, that's what really makes a good tack. It looks kind of bad right here, but it's actually, Ryan actually did a pretty good job. Like I said, there's always going to be some level of cavitation. It's pretty hard to have none at all. So yeah, the rudder actually comes completely, totally out of the water there for a second, which is interesting. So you can really analyze your videos of yourself doing boat handling maneuvers and be really picky about everything, and you get really technical about the analysis, and it really does help as long as your analysis is accurate and you're looking at the right things, because you don't really get to see yourself from outside your boat. You're always just feeling from inside your boat, and things like the cavitation on the rudder you don't really get a chance to look at otherwise. So right here, the rudder when I press play, the rudder is going to come completely out of the water and then re-enter again. So the angle of the tiller, the angle of the rudder on this re-entry is really important. Okay, but it actually was pretty smooth, really. Okay, so let's just narrate through the procedure just so we get that. We always want to be thinking about that. First thing, comes into the tack with his knees more or less pointing in this direction. It doesn't show it in this shot. He's between facing forward and facing sideways. He comes in to the video facing sideways, going into the tack, he rotates facing forward into opti stance, knees forward, back straight, good posture. So he's more or less sideways here. Knees shift forward a little bit right here in this instance. So this is his first move into opti stance. Little bit of knees shifting forward. Okay, so he's initiating the turn. The rudder is going to start, and to really rocket the boat through the turn and to propel the boat through the turn, you're going to see his weight's going to shoot back this direction, and that force is kind of pushing on the boat in this direction, which swoops it through the tack and helps it to turn. So he's getting through the tack a lot faster, a lot smoother than everyone else, using less rudder and more weight. Okay, so what that jump to the back also does, it doesn't just help pivot the boat around your weight through the tack, but it allows you to flatten, not only going up across the boat, but also going forward. Okay, so you're getting a pump by flattening the boat, and you're getting an ooch by going forward. So you're getting the best of both worlds. And what you want to do here as you flatten the boat is what I call a fish hook, where you're the focus of your mass should travel in a pattern that looks more or less like a fish hook, where you're coming up, you're flattening the boat over here, and then you're shooting forward to ooch forward to get your weight in the right spot, and then as you flatten, you try to kind of push back into the center board and load up the force on the center board. In the light air, you're allowed to, you get away with doing that a little bit more. In the heavy air, you're hiking out, shoulders forward, pushing in this direction to load up the center board. Watch that flatten real quick. Okay. Go back, and what did we miss? We missed his hand placement is very important. This left hand is already on the center board here. This right hand is going to come up to the rail. Okay, so this allows Ryan to control the speed and pace and power of the flatten. So if he doesn't get enough of a roll, what he does as he flattens the boat is he pulls on that right hand and he pulls the rail over, which leans the boat over more while he's flattening. After he's rolling, he can still roll the boat farther by having his hand placement correct and pulling the rail to him or pushing the rail away from him as he flattens the boat. He rolled the boat pretty perfectly here, so he doesn't really have to do too much of that. So knees to chest, scoots back, gets behind the main sheet. He's still on the rail, and he's under the boom with the boat flat rolled over all the way. So everything looks pretty good at this moment. Okay, hand goes to the rail. Notice how his sail's more or less perfectly trimmed here. So this is the crucial moment of any boat handling maneuver. When you're at the maximum point of heel, the point of maximum heel, your sail trim has to be totally, completely perfect. So it's very easy to get to the maximum point of heel. Anybody can do that. The hard part is having your sail trim completely, totally perfect while you're at the maximum point of heel. Because what you're able to do from this instant is flatten, trim, head up, and pump as you dial the boat onto a close hauled course. And when you do all of those things in synchrony with each other, you come out with more speed than anyone else. If your sail is not perfectly trimmed at this point, and you're stalling out when you start flattening the boat, if you start your flatten while your sails already start out, then you're losing to start with. So having your sail perfectly trimmed at the moment of maximum heel is a very crucial, important thing. So that's a very, very good thing to hold in your mind, is at the moment of maximum heel, as I'm coming out of my tack, is my sail trimmed perfectly at that moment? Are my telltales, all four of them, flying at that moment? And it's hard to do that because you're not going straight in this moment. You're crossing the boat, you're switching your hands, you're flattening, you're driving through the waves, all kinds of things are going on. So having perfect sail trim in this moment is really not an easy thing, and that's what makes a good sailor, is they're able to do this not easy thing and come out of the tack with tons of good speed. So hand on the center board, hand on the rail, sail perfectly trimmed, max speed, and we're going to watch him come out of this flatten and see how he does it. Okay, so I like where I paused the video here. You see there's a wave here. He's right on top of the wave. He's going downhill here after the wave. And what you're going to see is we're going to see him flatten a little more. His main sheet's not in all the way. He's going to pump, he's going to flatten, and he's going to fire down the wave with good speed. Okay, then he's going to come into the next wave, and he's going to sit up for a second, ease his sail, and then re-flatten and re-pump. Now these maneuvers, they're almost hard to notice. They're very small and they're very subtle, but they make a very big difference. Okay, so you see the double flatten, the double trim, the double pump coming out of this. One, two. 1, 2. Okay, and so you see the 1 and the 2 are right on the crest of each wave. 1, 2. So he somehow timed that tack to flatten the tack right on the top of a wave, which worked really, really well. So timing your tack through the waves is another thing you want to think about. Coming out flattening right on top of a wave and going downhill out of your tack is pretty much what you're looking for. Okay, so that's the thing I like most about this tack, is this double pump, double trimmed over the double chop here. Okay, so let's really dig into this. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay? So he doesn't actually ease the main cheat after the first trim. He just, the first trim got it to like 95% and the second trim gets it to 100%. He was hesitant to go all the way to 100% trim out of that tack into that wave, which is a good thing, because if you stall out there, you kill yourself and lose all your speed. It's better to be a little conservative on your trim and then pump it back into 100% on the next wave. I mean, it worked really good in reality here. One, 2. 1, 2.